Here.
Doug Edwards.
Here.
James Kim is currently not here. Steffi Kutz.
Here.
Sergio Monsalvo.
Here.
Okay, and has everyone seen the agenda, and can I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
Motion.
Motion, seconded?
Second.
Okay. Unfinished business, none. And new business, A, update on city center project presented by Gary Sobel. Gary?
Thank you guys for having me here to give you a quick update on the city center's progress. I'm Gary Sobel with Kaufman Capital Partners. And as I hope everyone knows, we've been working on this for quite some time with the city. And to me, this is an absolute partnership of how we work together to bring life to our new downtown. I want to give you a quick update as to our progress and kind of the evolution of the plans to where we started at the end of the last stage, where we are now as we start moving in, as you've seen demos happened, and we're starting to clear the site and move this forward. So on the screen, if everyone can see that, this was we'll call it a density study, we'll call it a conceptual master plan that was approved through the last phase when we did the feasibility. The top middle was we don't know what parcel A is, but it's going to be developed, could be multifamily. It's going to be a second phase of the city center. The right side is, we refer to it as the land swap property. That's the property that would then ultimately be conveyed in a deed swap with the city of Doraville, as this shopping center would then go to the city. The focus of the entire amount of development going on right now is around the city green and the new infrastructure that we're putting in. If you can see, there's a road A, B, and C, which creates an entire block around the purple, which is the city's building. The parcels on Park Avenue, which will be the two premium restaurant parcels that we've targeted. The to-be-determined third parcel at the bottom corner of the city green, I believe, J, I think. Sorry, can't read it. And behind that, you see there's a parking facility. There's another purple look. We don't know what that is in the future, but we know that that's future development. Initially, that will be a extra parking for the city. So just to put some perspective, as you saw the city green that's there, putting it into perspective, it is about 13,000 square feet, quarter acre. It's the same size as what Alpharetta has as their green. We modeled it after not too big, not too small. Let's make it a public gathering space. And you can see Road A, Road B, Road C. Those are the roads we're carving in once we finish the grading. I'm going to show you some pictures. Let's call this artwork. These are conceptual pictures of kind of the vibe and the look and feel of bringing excitement to downtown. None of this was truly vetted for style. It was just to show examples, because I'm going to take you forward from this. But if we looked coming, we've got Park Avenue is on the right. We're standing, let's say I'm standing by Buford Highway, looking diagonally up towards MARTA. The brown building, 4 or 5 stories, that was an idea of what could fit on that 2-acre parcel. Let's call that was a reach of what that could be, but we had to put a development on there for conceptual purposes. The building at the bottom left that has the flat top roof, because of the angle, it doesn't look, it's not right sized. That building is smaller, a lot smaller than the People's Building, which is straight across from it. So looking at the green, this would be the view from kind of the Buford Highway corner, looking up towards the People Building at the green. Moving forward, Park Avenue will come alive. There'll be some parallel parking on Park Avenue. And this would be, in theory, the view from the People's Building looking across. Actually, from the restaurant building from the People's Building, my apologies. So what we did is we started to vet the design from conceptual plan to the revised conceptual plan. Back in April, we had the plan modified. Let me give you an example here real quick. This original plan, that top corner A, the parcel on the right that has essentially an L-shaped hotel and a a bluish looking color. What we've done on the revised plan is we moved to that top parcel. It's in orange. It's commercial. The thought process is if we are going to do a hotel, that's where the hotel would belong. It would be somewhere up on that parcel, put it at the high spot. There's been really nothing pushed forward on identifying the actual look and feel, but we're thinking boutique hotel. That's going to depend heavily on the demand for downtown and after the first phase is in. This is a future phase. The thought process is parking facility going below it. We call that a podium where you build on top of it, and adding more commercial space, the two orange posts. Instead of putting multifamily or something of that nature on there, we thought adding more for the residents, more for the vibe of downtown, more commercial and a hotel. And the right side would have commercial along Park Avenue, but that's a multifamily development. Again, that's a future phase. The focus right now is on the green and the grid around the green. Any questions on that? So that plan was advanced with our current partners at MPS and Site Solutions, the landscape architect, with Foresight Engineering, collectively the team that's putting together the engineering documents, the landscape plans. The People's Building is still the top left corner. We use that, that term. You'll decide in the future what you call the building, but we needed a moniker for it because it's more than just City Hall. It's a place for the community to come together. It's a library. It's meeting space. It's potentially some office space. It's event space. So this is a multi-use building that's going to be state-of-the-art. The parcel at the top right and the bottom right are the two parcels on Park Avenue dedicated for restaurants. These are going to be the premium restaurant locations. I want to point out there's going to be a number of restaurant opportunities. This is not the one and done, here's the couple restaurants. We're looking, as I think you already know, I know y'all had presentations about other opportunities for restaurants or whether it's containers or other things that work over there. Those two parcels are priority one from a development standpoint because of the hardscape that touches it. We want to get those buildings up in time, at the same time we do the People's Building. The building on the top right, there's a revision to that shape. Right now you see a square. It's being shifted to a rectangle. We engaged David Abis at Dash Hospitality, expert in doing this kind of creating the design for restaurants. He's done it himself multiple times. As well, John Boggs, Phase 5 Creative Architecture, they do restaurants. The thought there was turn the top corner parcel into a rectangle to give better sight lines from the outdoor seating to the green and then to the stage. Why have an event happening at the stage where nobody in the building can actually see it? Because in this viewpoint, it's blocked by the People's Building. So that's a revision that is literally being finalized. The footprint is finalized. The plans will make its way out, and we'll come back and absolutely share those with you as soon as possible. This is probably the most exciting part of this. This is the People's Building. This is the design that council has approved. This is the look from the green. On the ground floor, we'll call it level 0, which Road A is on the other side of that building. This is below Road A. So we call it level 0. This is the view walking out onto the green. You can see the color schemes. At the top, you have outdoor event space, patios. We wanted to maximize the ability for outdoor space. This is what the building would look like coming off of Road A and the entrance point as we keep the consistency of the design. This is where the plans have made its way to right now. And what we are focused on is fine-tuning the landscape plan, the outdoor piece, and then bringing in more renderings for the restaurant spaces to show you what those are going to look like. The city will govern the look and the feel of those restaurant spaces. And so we're working actively with some prospects on both of those. That's my update on the city center, but there's a lot for the last year or so. It's tough to say what's going on because we didn't see anything happening above ground. below the surface, we've been scrambling to get everything in place so that we could get to where we are today, where you now see demo. There's a couple things that have to happen before we start moving the dirt around, but essentially, the high point of the property is where the old city hall was and the library was. We're going to, once we take off the concrete pads and start grading, we're going to be moving a substantial amount of dirt, could be over 60,000 cubic yards across the street to start balancing the overall site. And that should be happening within the next few months. And I say few months because there are some municipal approvals outside of the city of Doraville's control that we will be working with the county. Now I'll ask, are there any questions? And I apologize if I rambled.
No questions.
Yeah, pretty cool. Impressive. I know there's been talk in the past about, I might be kind of late on this with Veterans Day coming up, and I know a lot of cities are doing memorials towards veterans. Would there be an opportunity later to consider something very similar?
Putting,
Yeah, something in
Permanent-
tribute to the veterans.
I mean, there absolutely is. That's honestly, it's a city's call.
Okay.
If that's something that the city decides, of course. We have this, we have space, we have the room.
Mhm.
There's been discussion about bringing it back some historical references to the city in an exhibit in the city hall, but absolutely something towards the veterans. I put that back to you guys. If that's what you want to see, other cities have done this. They've done
Mhm.
this in
They are doing it, yeah.
park space.
Mhm.
Sandy Springs has done that. Others
Yeah.
are doing that. That's your call. This is your property.
Yeah.
It's the city council's call.
Well, council's call. I'm sorry.
Also- I was involved in the Veterans Park for Sandy Springs when I was over there, so it's turned out pretty nice. Still in progress, though. But nothing that, I mean, we don't have the space for something that big, but it would be nice to have something.
So is this the right time to kind of follow up on what we've talked about our shipping container kind of food area? Is that gotten, because I know that's something the DDA had signed off on, and the council signed off on the idea as well of using some of the DDA funds to activate at least a portion of this site?
Let me give you a little update on that. That bottom parcel, building,
3.
I gotta get my eyes checked. That building, that could be a pad. We're gonna plan out, get a design from our architect to show what would fit there as containers, because you'd be coming off of the, I think they call it the Picnic Grove, as you come up between the two buildings. And then you have a direct sight line at the stage. I think an L-shaped, large container, small container, and we use the term container interchangeably, a structure.
Mhm.
Whether it is a full container, these containers that are turned into restaurants are a tremendous amount of work where you almost don't even recognize the container any longer. 'Cause
Right.
you carve out everything, but we could absolutely see, and we love the idea of activating that area as soon as possible.
Right,
And
because one of the things was the concern is that when the city hall goes up, you don't want 3 gravel lots surrounding the square. When people come downtown, that it's like, oh yeah, well, this is in the future. It's like if we've got building 2 and 4 coming vertical at the same time, even if it's only a temporary single-story construction, whether it's shipping containers or, stick built or whatever we do, something there to finish off that corner so that the square is complete. And that's kind of why I was pitching, the DDA has some money to contribute to this project. And so if we're searching for a third person to invest, I think that'd be a good spot for the DDA to contribute.
I think it's a great spot, and I can tell you that we've started the research on which groups would be the right group to actually design them. The beauty of containers or these type of structures is speed. They're quicker. Doesn't mean they're always a lot cheaper, but they're quicker than, putting in a brand new concrete building.
Right.
So
And if in the future somebody did come in and say, we want to build a 4-story something really plush here, there wasn't a huge investment in what's sitting on the ground there to demo and allow something else to get built 5 or 10 years from now.
One of the beauties of the containers that we've explored, and I've been doing this, it's something I love. I love the look, is the mobility, the ability to lift them up and move them. They are built for that. And the real question is, as we engage John Boggs, the architect, and we'll probably come back and talk to DDA or the city about engaging him to expand into that, designing how this would look best and how we can maximize the access points, the visibility to the stage. I think it's an ideal spot.
I just want to share that so the DDA is aware that the work we did or the decision we made, that hasn't been forgotten about. That's still part of this plan
Not
for the.
forgotten about it at all.
So anyway, that was all I had.
So unless there's any other questions on this, I would shift to the next subject, but you ask away.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Gary. Okay, we'll move on to the request for modification of MOU agreement with Kaufman Capital Partners presented by Ben Brooks. Ben?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As you know, across from the downtown development, the authority back in 2023, and this is all outlined in your packet. In 2023, entered into an MOU with Kaufman Capital Partners to develop a housing project across the Beaufort Highway. And that project, we went ahead and we validated the bonds for that last year. And in that agreement, the bonds are to be closed by December 15th of this year, and we're working towards that. In discussions with the company, they've asked for an accommodation on the timing of the development schedule to give them a little bit more time to develop the project. So Gary is here representing Kaufman as well. And so I'll turn time to him to talk that through and explain, and we can take any questions about how that would work. So Gary.
Thanks, Ben. Putting the Kaufman hat on now. The property we have across the old UAW property, we've been working continuously for the last couple of years to get that development moving forward. Where we are today is the capital markets have been very slow. Essentially, the project is going to be roughly $85 million. That means an institutional equity investment of close to $30 million will be required. The institutional groups are either paused or on the sidelines or just very slow to act given the where the markets are. And this is systemic across the country. This is not a Dorville thing. This is not a Kaufman thing. Essentially, what's going on is construction costs are still 20-25% higher than they were pre-COVID. They haven't come back. There's been an oversupply in the general market area and the broader market area as well of projects delivered that are still in lease up. This includes Chamblee. It includes, to some extent, next door here at Lumen Doraville. It includes Camino across the street in Doraville. There's a lot of concessions that are going on. Concessions, free rent. So whatever rent you're quoting, you add in free rent, the effective rate's a lot lower. The legs of the stool for development have been stressed. Interest rates, while they've come down slightly, are just a mere metric. It all plays together. Costs, interest rates, institutional desire to take risk. This is a risk concern for institutions. At what point do we re-enter the development equation? We all had assumed and hoped 2025 was the year. We are prepared to go forward and close the bonds to make stamp our commitment to the city. We're going forward. It's inside the development schedule that says we have to immediately now comply with when we pull a demo permit. We know that we have 36 months from pulling the demo permit to complete the project. That would be enough time, provided I get time to pull the demo permit. And we're asking to push that out essentially for a year. There is no incentive for us to run slow on this project. In fact, we want to have this project dovetail with the rise of the city center. But we do need the institutional players, and they're slow. And that's those that are really in a wait and see game. They're looking for signals. Now we get into the economics of the Fed and everything else. We're committed. I think, from our efforts to date, we're committed to downtown. We're committed to Doraville. And we're just asking for that accommodation in the milestone schedule.
So let me see if I understand correctly. So it goes from 30 days to a year, essentially, to pull a demolition permit.
Right. So the demo permit then triggers the rest of the development schedule, pulling the land disturbance permit, doing the horizontal development, which is moving dirt. So everything runs from there. We could pull a demo permit, but then we got to comply with everything else. And we'll have to spend close to $1 million on designs. You don't do that until you have your money partners, until you have your institutional partners. It's just not the right move. And so we're asking for that support from you guys so that I can comply with the rest of the schedule. And again, I'm confident that we can move quickly, but I don't want to promise you something I can't deliver on. I've never come up here before and promised something I can't deliver. I know what I think we need to be comfortable, and I hope to beat those timeframes.
No, I understand, what's going on with these markets, and like we were talking about before the meeting, just about general, the world right now, the whole tariff situation, importing steel, and just all the stuff that's involved around the construction materials is uncertain. And it's kind of shifting sand right now that we're, until like a number gets stabilized, whether it's 10%, 15%, 50%, until we know what that is, it's hard to even base what the construction costs. I'm running into that in my small business, manufacturing business, that I don't know what parts are going to cost next week. They're going to be the same as they were last week. And I understand that, that's going through the Supreme Court right now. Hopefully something that's going to get resolved. My only question would be, and if knows the answer, that's fine too, is could we move the milestone or milestones after the demo to get the building down? You see what I'm saying? Like, instead of shifting like the very first thing, shift like the second point. And because to me, having that lot cleared would signal to potential development partners at the downtown that there's stuff going on across the street too. You know what I'm
Understand what you're saying. What your ask is. I would tell you that I would like to say no. You control. I would tell you that if we cannot ultimately, after spending another year trying to get this done, we still have enough time to develop the project, we believe. But if something really does not pan out, then at least we have a building there to renovate and utilize. But I do understand the desire to see that building come down. I'm asking for the accommodation as best I can. I would tell you that from our perspective, the other side of this, and I think this, is there's an administrative payment to the city of $500,000 a year that would go for 25 years. As putting the city center hat on, that's a tremendous funding mechanism for us.
Yes.
And that the top parcel that I pointed out, where the hotel would go, where more retail would go, that could pay for a good bit of the parking. And so there's a lot of positive if we can move this project forward together. I would gratefully ask if we could not press us to go for the demo permit right away. I just would like to know I have an institutional investment partner on the line, and today we don't.
So right now, the ultimate holdup is finding an investor to be able to
It's
hold the green
capitalizing
light.
the deal.
capitalize the deal.
It's capitalizing the deal, and most people don't buy land and then figure out the equation. They wait to close on the land until they have the whole equation done. They want to drop the hammer right away. We've invested close to $5.5 million on that project. First to buy the land at a exceptionally expensive price and put in a significant amount of money.
So here's where I stand on this. I think, Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas coming up, not a whole bunch of stuff's going to happen. Do I want to, give you a little bit more time? Yes. I don't know if a whole year, So I guess my proposal would be is let's do 90 days. Show us who you've contacted and what, the temperature's like with investors within those 90 days. And, we see work being done and people actually looking at this stuff seriously, then if we feel the need to allow more time, then we will. I think we've been burnt in the past before where we've been giving accommodations as people ask of us, and we've been nice enough to do it. And here we are with the Kmart development, right? So I think I want to be, fair for not only you, but fair for us as well. And we want to see, I guess, action, right? What are we doing or what are you guys doing to actively look for somebody that's willing to play ball with you guys? And let's, present it to us so that if you do need more time, then we can, hold off another meeting and go from there.
Can-
I'm not sure what everybody else's
Address
position
comments
is.
on that if I could?
Sure, yeah.
So we have an active intermediary searching for capital for us right now. They've been in touch with 50 or 60 groups. What I'm sharing with you is what's going on in the market is the feedback from the institutional groups.
Mhm.
They're on pause. 90 days won't get us much farther at any point. I can't speak to the Kmart deal, know a lot about it because it's been discussed. But I think next door in this project, what we did here is indicative to the effort and our ability to perform and our ability to put our feet forward and not stop till we get a deal done. I wouldn't want to be grouped in with the groups that have asked for extensions and have not performed. But again, I understand the request. Nothing will change in 90 days that I would be able to stand in front of you and say, yes, we closed the bonds. Now we need more time on the demo permits or changes. It's a request that I have to tell you that we're not going to be there in 90 days. The institutional partners that our team at the Patterson Company has been talking to and has been reporting back to us is the reason I'm standing here today.
Yeah, and I hear you. And I guess where I'm trying to see is like, all right, let's see you guys working towards getting what you guys need in order to keep moving forward, right? We just want to see work being done and personally, and things moving forward in the right direction. And I'm all for giving you more time in the future if you guys need it. We just want to see action.
So we have worked with 2 development partners. One came and left, and we went through several $100,000 worth of costs on design until we figured out that the partner decided this didn't work for them, and they went to an adjacent neighboring city. We've been talking with another group for 6 months, very slow to act. So we sent our capital group out to seek capital in front, ahead of our investment partners. 90 days won't get us there. I think that happy to share with you designs to show you that we're not just sitting on this property. We've been investing a lot of money to move this forward. The first stop is now getting an equity partner to at least commit to working with us. And so we have gone ahead and already engaged the groups. It's been several months of talking to virtually all qualified institutional partners that they have in their Rolodex. So we have been doing that.
I want to hear from everybody else, see what their
No, I'm-
thought
I'm-
is.
If I can comment on,
Mhm.
Sergio brings up a good point. When I heard a year, that gave me a little pause, and I'm not sure 90 days makes sense either. I'd be leaning more towards like a 6 months extension from December, which would be 7 months from now. I realize we got to get something done before December 15th. And we can't let this fall apart because I do believe in you and I believe in Kaufman and the performance that you've had. But I'm hesitant to add a year to the timeline, just right out, just kind of cold like this. And I think that, if 6 months comes around and the economy hasn't changed and things aren't moving forward, we can revisit this. But I would be okay. I would vote yes on giving a 6 months extension.
I'd
No,
like to
that's
say, I think, yeah, Kaufman's operated in good faith up to this point, and I have faith that Kaufman is fully on board with this. I think we're in a position where all of us would benefit to get this done, in a more timely fashion, and none of us can control the greater forces in the market. I tend to agree that 6 months sounds like a reasonable thing, and I think if we're sitting in the same position in the market in 6 months, we'll have no problem having another meeting and pushing that out further. But yeah, I'd feel very comfortable with that sort of time. Right?
Okay, I would agree at 6 months also. I think 3 months is not enough time. The way things are going in the economy right now, no, it's just, I think we need more time, my opinion.
The request we've had was to move forward and close.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about extending the closing date, because we'd prefer to close. And when you talk about commitment and effort, we would be closing bonds and moving that process forward so that uncertainty, whatever that may be, would be off the table for us to show that to institutional partners.
Yes, we're talking about what the timeline when you were saying from like the bonds to the demo permit, you were asking for a year. Well, I believe the body is saying that we're willing to give you 6 months and then we'll revisit that if needed.
Okay. Any chance we could split the difference?
Well, we just did. We went from zero in a year. 6 months is a split. 6 months is a split, Gary.
Look, I have to report back to my guys.
Right,
If
right.
If that's the decision, our desire is to close the bonds.
Please.
I would have to probably defer to Ben about what that means if we close the bonds. And so I guess the key here is you want the demo permit and the milestone timeline to start in 6 months after closing, not 360 days,
Yes.
correct?
With a
Yes.
willingness to revisit that in 6 months.
Correct.
We're willing to kick the can further down the road, but we'd like to let conditions develop as they are and kind of see what happens with that.
Because our desire would be to close this deal.
Yeah.
And have those bonds closed to demonstrate to you and the rest of the authority that we're for real.
No, and that will go a long way to when you come, if you need to come back in 6 months, that you have closed the bonds. We realize you're serious. But to me, adding 12 months to a timeline seems like maybe not to you, it seems like a pretty big ask. And I feel like giving you 6 months is a reasonable compromise.
Let me ask a question to that. Obviously, we're talking about the initial, the 30 days. So if it's 6 months after closing, then we go to the demo permit.
So
The problem would be the land disturbance permit because we'd have to have full plans done.
no, I get that.
Apply.
Right now, if we don't do any, say we say no, okay, December 15th is, you have to close the bonds. And then how long after that do you have to pull a demo permit?
January 15th.
January 15th.
So it's unrealistic for us.
Right.
to-
So what I'm proposing is instead of January 15th, that we add 6 months to the January 15th date, which would give, which would give you, an additional 6 months to the 30 days that's already there.
Got it.
And so it would actually be 7 months instead of 1 month.
I greatly appreciate y'all's consideration. If that's the consensus, we would want to move forward. And if we have to come back, I would come back and explain to you where the delays are. It's the land disturbance permit that concerns me more than the demo permit. Demo is some trucks, level the place.
Who issues the land disturbance permit? Is that the city?
City issues, well, the city and then the county gets a run at the land disturbance permit. We're dealing with that right now with the city center.
Sure.
And that means we have to have a very advanced set of plans, which can take every bit of 6 months to prepare. And that's where, so to give you some perspective, the architects and the civil have been working on the city center since June. And we still we're submitting this week or next week for the land disturbance permit, knowing that's going to take longer. It's the amount of plans and expense that goes into preparing the land disturbance permit. We have to be in very advanced civil plans for that, which means we would have to internally agree to spend a tremendous amount of money ahead of having an institutional partner. That said, if it's 6 months beyond the 30 days for the demo permit, can we extend the land disturbance permit?
This is Cecil. Can I throw in one question? I apologize. I'm
Yes, sir,
sitting
go
here
ahead.
almost there. But would
Cecil.
would y'all be okay? Okay. And I just wanted to make this clear, or make sure it's clear in my head with you, Gary. So when we close the bonds, this is sort of different from the other ones we've dealt with, because if I'm correct, when we close the bonds, the commitment to begin the administrative payment, which was to assist with the city center, that's effective immediately, right?
No.
No?
And
When does that
Ben
become
can-
effective?
Ben can weigh in on that. The way the agreement runs, and it's two, quote, arm's length transactions, the administrative payment starts the January 1 after final substantial completion. It's in the
Right.
documents today, but no later than the end of 28, which means in January of 29, the first administrative payment is due, period.
Mhm.
So there's no extension of the administrative payment, nor are we seeking that. It's
Right.
really just making sure that if we're doing construction, it's that land disturbance permit that is the one that causes me great pause, because we would have to start doing civil documents ahead of having a partner ready to join us on that, which means that it could easily change. The concerns would be going through the process. It could be 2 to 3 months with the county. We'd like to expedite that. So the land disturbance permit is the trigger after the demo permit. And as it reads in the document, I'll leave this.
What's the timeline?
30 days after the demo permit. So it means essentially 8 months. The
From-
extension you've talked about at 30 days, I have to basically apply for that land disturbance permit, which means starting January 1, we're going to have to initiate full civil drawings to then go pull a land disturbance permit. That means we know exactly what's being built, that it's all been fine tuned, which can also put us in a sideways with a partner who says, I'll invest in the deal, but I want change this, and this, and now I have to change everything we just submitted that's been approved. That's the one that concerns me more than demoing the building.
Yeah, and
Um,
I apologize if I can throw one more there. I'm literally pulling in the parking lot. When I say effective, that commitment becomes effective, right? So in my mind, I'm trying to make sure I'm clear. This is different than, giving extension and then, the back end, we didn't have the teeth there, except really sort of began to pull back the abatement. In this, once it's closed, that commitment is moving forward. It is effective, correct?
I'm sorry, Cecil, I got pulled out. Are we talking about commitment? Yeah, the admin, the admin fee is a commitment in the agreement that
And I'm
comes into
walking in
place.
right now.
Okay. The commitment to make that admin payment starts in what the document calls year one, and year one cannot happen later than 2029. So in other words, that commitment is locked in, and beginning in 2029, those payments have to be made starting at that. You agree with that?
I do.
Yeah.
I just know Cecil had the question.
Yeah, so that's the way that works. So again, to be clear, there's a request here to extend the development schedule. But in terms of the incentives, none of that is being changed. We have an outside date of 2029 to start the incentive schedule running. And that's not changing. So even if it takes longer to build the building, the incentive schedule starts running, and if there's no building in place in 2029, then essentially there's no incentives granted to the company at that point. So I think they also have an incentive, and I think that's important because it also gives the developer the incentive to actually build the building, because otherwise years of the incentive are going to start to burn off without any real benefit. Questions?
So Ben, essentially what you're saying is if the project extends longer than anticipated, there'd also be costs.
They're going to lose the benefit of the incentives that we've offered them. That's correct. So yes, it's going to affect their bottom line for the project.
Anybody have any additional
I guess to answer your question, I think we're all partners here, right? And we don't want to ask too much of everybody here. We want to see just action. And 6 months, I'll agree to that. I'm fine with that. Let's spend 6 months. Let's see what kind of, companies are out there to support you. And as far as the demolition goes, I guess we can cross that bridge if and when that is needed.
Can I make one comment?
Mhm.
What causes me concern is, the demo permit's not the concern. We would have to start January 1 with final civil documents at a time we don't have an institutional partner.
Mhm.
That could be money that is misspent. That could be decisions made that we would regret when a partner does come to the table that we have to now revise it. And we'd be relying on the development authority, you guys, to say, okay, you've spent a lot of money and you have a partner, you think we will or won't grant you any more extension, pull your land disturbance permit or apply for it. I would not want to, I want to be prudent about how we spend our money. At the same time, deliver on the incentive both to us and to the city. The land disturbance permit's going to be too tight to pull the permit. The 6-month extension to pull a demo permit, great. We'll demo the building. It's the timing of the land disturbance permit that I would then need relief on. And I'd hate to have to come back to you in 6 months and hope that you believe that we're doing what we said we'd do and grant us enough time. Otherwise, we may not even be able to apply for a land disturbance permit, and then we'd be in default of the agreement.
So Gary, you mentioned earlier that been 7 months since, right, that you've had trouble finding that partner, right?
Well, it's not that we've had trouble. We've had partners come to the table.
And it's been
7 months. Institutional equity has not.
Yeah.
And so we released a professional firm that actually helped us capitalize Lumen and is one of the best in the business. And their Rolodex is 60, 70 deep of institutional players. The response is consistent across the board. They're looking for changes in the economic environment about the risk. They're looking for signs from the Fed. They're looking for, essentially clear direction, stabilization. Their investment committees to come back to the table to consider approving deals. All of that's outside of our control.
Yeah.
Until we have even a term sheet from one of these guys, spending money to do full civil documents for the land disturbance permit wouldn't be prudent. And I'm asking for a little more relief on the land disturbance permit, just because it'd be tough for us to spend that kind of money and miss it.
My thought was, I mean, it's been 7 months. I just, I don't see it being different in the future. You know,
I live in a world.
I know how these
Full.
designs work. You know, I've been involved in the business a little bit. And it is tough. Takes a while to get these things done. So anyway, just my opinion, my thought.
I mean, we had discussed earlier, adding this extension, after the demo permit, and you said you didn't want to do that.
I think what,
Adding the year after the demo permit before the land disturbance permit, and you said, no, we might want to keep the building and sell it or what. We can't do, we're trying to work with you, but I mean, I want to see the building gone because it sends a signal that, that there is something happening. And from people outside the city that are looking to become, interested in developing other parcels around the city, because it's not just this whole downtown, it's the halo effect across the whole city. And you were hesitant to want to, move forward with the demo and then have this other, the other triggering points pushed out as well. And so that was the compromise was, well, let's just push the whole packet down 6 months and then, and see what happens and revisit it. And I'm not real keen on pushing the demo out 6 months and then adding another 6 months for the development of the land disturbance permit too. Just kind of one or the other thing. And, I don't know, that's kind of where I was feeling. I want, like Sergio said, we need to see some action of some sort. That's, and we, again, not you, but we've been shown, told things that we were very gracious about, and then it didn't happen. And we've become kind of just gun shy about just handing people extensions and stuff and and it's not just the Kmart side of it. Sir, they give us a run around, and then these people gave us the run around, and I feel like that we have to at some point kind of draw the line and say we can't do this. What do you see? So what?
Let me make sure, and I sat with Ben and looked at it, make sure of my point. I would just distinguish this deal from every other deal you've done. In this deal, there's an outside date. Once those bonds are closed, there's an outside date, and I think it's 2029. We just looked at it, January 1st. But there's a commitment here. The money commitment comes with this deal. This is a different deal, and it's distinguished from the other ones we've looked at from the standpoint that those bonds are closed. They don't do anything. January 2029, they're going to be paying the payment. So it's not the same as the other ones, because if they don't have a building built and there's nothing to offset that payment, they're stripping checks out. So I just wanted to distinguish that because I do think
Okay,
it's a
thank
little
you.
different from the other ones we've looked.
Thank you. I
Thank
think that's a key point.
Yeah.
And that changes my thinking on it a little bit too. And I'm not sure that I quite caught that earlier. So,
Mhm.
I think I would be flexible with, I would be willing to be a little more flexible with that timeline, given that, knowing that. And also Kaufman's exemplary point and clear commitment. I want to make it clear. I'm not questioning Kaufman's commitment here a bit. I think y'all are in it to win it for this. Yeah, I think that Cecil, to your point, kind of changes my opinion on that. I would be willing to go a little bit longer.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd like, did you have anything?
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, I'm okay with the 60 days for the demolition permit. And then, sorry, not 60 days, 6 months from January state. And then another 6 months with the land disturbance permit. But there's has to be some contingencies in there, I'm assuming. Do you want to, again, we're partners, right? We're not here to be, difficult. We're not. We understand where you're coming from. I'm sure you understand where we're coming from. We're in this to win it, right? And as Steffi pointed out, and I'm sure everybody here, we want to see just action being taken. I know it's in your best interest to finish, and I think it's in everybody's best interest for this to get started and finished. So know that, you know, we're not going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Playing difficult, but we just want to see steps taken in the right direction.
Appreciate the comments from everybody on that. So I trying to understand what you just framed. Was it 6 months extension to pull the demo permit and then 6 months after that, the land disturbance permit, the deadline?
I'm okay with that.
You guys can do that. We'd be excited to move forward.
That way we can get the demo going and then, you know, get the disturbance permit
Mhm.
going. So it doesn't give you the whole year for just one permit. It's all right, let's get 2 permits going within that time frame.
Yeah.
So 6 months for the demo permit.
And on the closing December 15th, 6 months added to the 30-day to pull the demo.
Right, it'd be 7 months after the, 7 months after
The year and a month.
the bonds are,
Bonds.
and then 6 months after that for the land disturbance permit.
It's beyond fair. And I appreciate your willingness to allow me to come up here again.
And there's a compromise. We found one.
More than a compromise, it shows partnership.
Mhm.
And it's been tremendous working with you guys in the city. And this allows us to keep going.
Mhm.
We will not let you down.
Mhm.
So
We're all rooting for you,
we
man.
know what's happened from others. We are not others.
No, you're
Oh,
not.
we've-
And I hate to keep bringing that up, but you have to understand that we're trying to learn from mistakes. I don't feel like this is a mistake, but we have to be a little more careful about what we agree to. And if Sergio, if you want to make that motion, I'll second it.
Motion to pass.
Okay, could, you mind if I,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, make some comments? Yeah. There's a couple of things that was going through my mind. One, a lot of the concerns that were brought up by the other directors, considering where we stand as DDA for Doraville from its inception. And actually, I'm the only person here that was there from the very beginning and listened through all of it. And those concerns are absolutely valid, given what has happened before and given the state of where we are with other projects. This is absolutely true and caused us a lot of concern. And I would also add that those projects were approved by me, and that you know, to not to extend it to a long story. Basically, at the time, we thought it was okay. I think it was a combination of one, naivete, which I'll accept, still my responsibility. And number two, we had the sensation that we had to do something. There was a tremendous amount of will within the city that, like you said, the same sentiment. God, we got this place. It's like, somebody please do something. And that was driving us to a place where what I realize now in retrospect was, maybe we should have waited. You know, maybe the alternative would have been better. And the other thing is, like, you can't, we don't really know, and I don't know if it's appropriate to go in a meeting to talk about it. No. Okay. But, you know, it's like you go on a dating site. Sometimes it pans out. Sometimes it doesn't. You think you know it is, but, you know, maybe you don't. And you don't really know till you spent some time with that issue. Now, what I will say is, of all the project developers that we've worked with, Gary's got the probably the best continuous track record. He's been very forthcoming. If you're familiar with the concept of signal to noise, I'd say he has the best signal to noise ratio of anybody that we've ever dealt with, the questions that we have. I think we understand his incentives. Oh, I'll give you another example. We were the first big problem that we had as a DDA was during COVID and with the Lumen project. And that was one of the first things that had came up, that he had required an extension of that. And that was a time when everybody was very, very uncertain. as to what would happen. And we thought it was reasonable to give those allowances. Now, that being said, this body has also given generally most allowances that have been asked, and I regret some of those to some, other projects. And the sentiment that we should have caution, let's say structural caution on how we look at these things, and be skeptical is absolutely valid, absolutely valid. And going forward, I would like to absolutely do that. But at the same time, if y'all are familiar with small businesses, like if you've ever dealt with accounts receivable or accounts payable, and you, let's say you were a vendor and you are a customer and you owe this vendor a lot of money and you have a particular thing, and then all of a sudden they say, "Hey, you got to pay us faster," and I'm just like, well, why? Well, we had a lot of customers like pay us late and go out of business, and it's like we created a new policy to make sure that everybody pays on time. Well, I've paid you on time for 20 years. And you extended credit to somebody else, but why am I taking the blame for it? And I feel it kind of a little bit like that. So the where we are as to the compromise, it's the skepticism is not directly to you or the project, because I think I understand your incentive, because as it was explained, the incentive is clear, is there of what you want to do. We have an existing track record of you as an individual and the firm that you represent. You have multiple projects going on, and you have a lot of vested interest in the city. We have, to my knowledge, I haven't heard anything bad, so far. So at the same time that we can accommodate our concerns with how we should go forward on other projects as a DDA, incorporating also the skepticism. The other thing that I would add, and I've mentioned this before, and Gary, the timeline schedule that you gave us, and it's fine, but I would prefer, and I think it would be easier for everyone to understand, more like a project management chart, which you're familiar with. I don't know if one exists, but it's one of the advantages of that. It's easy to see the dependencies, okay? And the timeline, it's easy to see. I think one of the things that's not incorporated in here, which is a dependency for you, is the financing. Presuming that if you had the financing today, this would not be an issue. Is that correct?
We had the institutional partner today. Bank debt is available, or lending is available. It's the institutional equity
Right.
that is on pause.
Yep.
And so if we had, quote, capitalization,
Mhm.
both components, we're off to the races.
Right.
So I'm just asking for the time to do this smart, but to get to these groups and show them that we have enough time to do this.
Right. So if you looked at that from a project management chart, and one would be, let's say, the institutional financing that is appropriate to your return on investment that you were looking for, that in my mind should have been included, because that is a clear dependency, and that is why the reason why that you are asking for the extension. So if there was nothing else in here, let's say that we had no knowledge that there is something going on with the county that requires a tremendous additional time of permitting, they say, oh, now the permitting's gone from like 3 months to now it's like a year or something like that, and you have to stack that on. If everything else is correct in terms of when it's initiated to when it's completed, really the critical thing for you now, as I understand it, is getting that institutional financing, because it's gotten kind of cold. So for us to ask you, hey, speed things up, which is our concern based on prior experience, and we want to do a good job for the city, is, well, if you don't have that, my understanding, if you don't have that institutional financing, you can't speed it up, is your opinion.
It's out
Okay.
of my control.
Yeah, it's out of your control. So I think where we are now, and as your explanation came to us, is that we got to a point on the time, it's a little bit less than the initial ask. It accommodates your specific ones, which gives you, and especially with the demolition, okay? It gives you demolition and then the land disturbance permit, which, as you're saying, requires much more planning and commitment, and that is very difficult to do without the institutional investor. So we're allowing a little bit more time for that. That's my understanding. And again, we have a tremendous amount of goodwill with you, with this board, and there's no reason why that if we go through with the timeline that as currently recommended, that we also, if something were to happen, that we clearly understand it's outside of your control, that we could not make additional accommodations. And if I did a good job of summarizing, let me know.
Excellent.
Hopefully, okay.
Excellent.
But if any other questions? No? And do I have a Ben, were you clear on what was actually proposed? Yeah, Okay.
Make sure we're very clear about what's being proposed, so that I understand that the document's done right. What I understood was we're going to make two changes to the development schedule. The time after the closing of the bond in which Gary has to apply for the demolition permit is going from 30 days to 7 months. So it's 210 days.
Yes.
Yes.
In addition to that, we're going to extend the time for applying for the land disturbance permit. Right now, it says within 30 days of receipt of the demolition permit. We're going to extend that to 180 days. Is that right? We're going to give him 6 months then to apply
Mhm.
for the land disturbance permit after he has the demolition permit.
Right, correct.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve what the timeline is just laid out by our BDA attorney.
Oh, I had one more question, Ben. Now, if the MOU, since it hasn't been typed up yet, okay, do we need a motion from the board that only requires an executive signature, or would we have to have another meeting if it's already?
This is sufficient.
Okay.
What I'll do, if the board approves it, I will bake this into the bond documents at closing, so that as this will only be effective when we close the bond transaction. Subject to, review and approval of council.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Then if there are no other questions or comments, do I have a motion to approve the modification as described and as reiterated by Ben? Anyone?
Motion.
Second,
Do I have a second?
second,
Second. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay. Motion's approved.
I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
There you
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I was gonna run it through my head.
No, but you were